What if I told you that right now, this week, or this year, small business owners have access to more power than the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies had a decade ago? Not more money, not more connections, more capability. Now we're talking billion-dollar business potential without the billion-dollar budget. And here's the part that blows my mind. Most entrepreneurs have no idea this window is wide open. Now, AI, speed to market tools, global talent, you can launch faster, run leaner, and scale smarter than at any other point in history. And this isn't theory. It's not someday. It's the perfect storm, and it's happening right now. Hello, and welcome back, my fellow entrepreneurs. I'm Kim, your host here on Small Business Big AI, the podcast that gives you the technology-enabled superpower to outsmart your competition and build something that truly lasts. Now, today, I am back with my number one sidekick and co-strategist, Hal. Hey, welcome back, Hal.
Always good to be here, Kim, especially for this one, because I read your notes from today's episode, and wow, you're not just stirring the pot, you're lighting the stove.
That's right, because the water's been boiling for a while now, Hal. And really a lot of small business owners, they don't even realize it.
Right, they're still acting like we're in 2010. Slow launches, bloated teams, massive overhead. Meanwhile, their competitors are quietly arming themselves with AI.
Exactly, and really by the time that they notice, it's not just that they're behind, it's that the whole playing field has changed.
So let me play devil's advocate. Haven't people been saying now is the best time to start a business? Forever.
Yeah, they have for a long time now. But most of the time, that's really just optimism talking. I mean, this time, how it's math. Now, the tools that used to cost tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, they're really now right in your pocket. So what used to take a department now takes a prompt.
So you're saying a solo entrepreneur can run used to be 50-person operation?
Hey, not only just a 50-person operation, 50, maybe 100, and guess what? They're going to do it faster and with better data and with less burnout, really.
That's a big claim.
Yeah, it's a big reality. And really, the longer someone pretends it's not happening, the harder it's going to be for them to catch up.
And here's the thing, I've seen this before. Every time there's a major shift, computers, the internet, mobile, there's a wave of people who freeze. They watch, they wait and see, and they're the ones that get left behind.
You're right. They watch, they wait and see, they get left behind, and we're not letting that happen to our listeners, Hal. Not to our small business, big AI insiders.
No, we're not. Because this isn't just another tech upgrade, it's a complete rewrite of the rule book.
Which is why today we're going to prove it, Hal. So we'll break down why AI is the catalyst for this entrepreneurial revolution and how to actually use it without becoming what they call a tech person. And this is critical. Without the costly mistakes you must avoid if you want to play to win.
So if you're listening in your car, at your desk, or while you're on your third cup of coffee, pay attention. This might be the conversation that changes the trajectory of your business forever.
Now we're on a mission, my small business, big AI insiders. It feels like the perfect time to be an entrepreneur, and we're going to show you why. Ready to take your small business to superhuman levels with AI? Well, subscribe to Small Business Big AI and start building your technology-enabled superpower today. All right, let's start big picture. So, if you don't understand the scale of this shift, you're going to really underestimate what's possible for you. So, historically, starting a business, it meant stacking risk on top of risk. Big investment, massive teams, years of grind before you even knew it would work. Now, that's the game we were all told we had to play.
And let's be real, most people never even step onto the field. The barriers were too high.
Exactly, Hal. But here's what's wild. That entire equation, it's been flipped, and the new math favors the bold.
You're talking about AI again.
You got it. And I'm talking about AI, yes, but also speed to market tools or, global on-demand talent and business models that really would have been unthinkable 10 years ago. You know who called it early?
Who?
Sam Altman, co-founder of OpenAI. Now, he said that we'd see billion-dollar companies run by 10 people and maybe even solo billion-dollar founders.
And everybody rolled their eyes.
Yeah.
Cute prediction. Sam? Maybe in 20 years.
That's right. And now how it's not just possible, it is imminent, especially with GPT-5 and AI agents already changing the way real businesses run.
So, Kim, let's make this concrete. What's an AI agent to a small business owner listening right now?
Okay, so picture this, Hal. So instead of managing a big team of people, really you manage a team of specialized AI programs. Now, they're not generic chatbots. They're highly skilled, autonomous digital employees. So you give them a clear goal, they figure out how to get there, and then they adapt along the way. And then finally, they report back with the results.
So, they're not just answering emails, they're doing research, creating marketing campaigns, building your workflows, processing your data.
Exactly. It's the entire business functions now in parallel, which means that the old one person, one job model, it's gone. A single entrepreneur can now run what used to be an entire ecosystem, and they can run it fast, lean, and with the kind of output that really would have taken dozens or maybe even hundreds of people.
But here's where my listener advocate hat goes on. If I'm already stretched thin, already wearing 10 hats, this sounds amazing but overwhelming.
And yeah, I hear you, Hal. And that's why the real question isn't, can you do it? It's really, can you afford not to do it? Because while you're hesitating, your competitors are busy automating. They're cutting their costs, they're speeding up their response times, and they're serving more customers with less effort.
And once they're operating at this level, you're not just trying to catch up, you're trying to leapfrog over a moving train.
Exactly. So, really, that's why this isn't a maybe someday conversation. This is really a strap in and start now conversation.
All right, so we've set the stakes. What's our first stop on this revolution roadmap?
Well, we're going to talk about the first massive shift that AI has delivered to entrepreneurs. The dismantling of the barriers to entry. Because the sooner you see those barriers for the paper walls they really are, then the sooner you can walk right through them. If you're listening right now and you know exactly which task you ditch first, DM me on LinkedIn. I want to hear it. All right, first stop on this revolution roadmap, and that is dismantling the barriers to entry. So I'm not talking about just chipping away, not easing the barriers. I'm talking about bulldozing them. You know, those big steel gates that used to guard the business world, they've rusted, and AI just drove a truck right through them.
Back in the day, those gates weren't just decoration, they were real. Starting a business meant serious money, months of preparation, and a Rolodex full of connections.
Exactly how. Really, you needed a professional designer to make you look credible. You know, a developer to get you online. You needed a marketing agency to get the word out. And really, each of those came with like a five-figure price tag before you even were able to sell your first product.
Which meant if you didn't have deep pockets or deep debt, you weren't even going to get onto the field.
Yeah, but now those gates are more like holograms. So really, you can walk right through them now. And if you want a logo, well, then AI will give you 10 options before your coffee even gets cold. Or you need a business plan? Well, that's done in hours with market research baked right into it. And a website? Well, you can have a beautiful, functional one live by Sunday night.
And here's where it gets dangerous. If you're still moving at 2010 speed while your competitors are moving at 2025 speed, you're basically spotting them a year's head start even before the race begins.
Exactly. And that's the first costly mistake I want to call out. So we're going to call this mistake number one, acting like the old barrier still exists. Because when you act like the gate is still locked, you don't even want to try to walk through it.
So, how do they snap out of that mindset?
Well, how they have to start by testing how fast you can go. So you pick one thing that you think will take weeks, like branding, a landing page, maybe a simple marketing campaign, and then you see how fast AI can help you get it done. Now, that's your aha moment.
And once you have that,
Then you stop thinking like a cautious gate approacher and you really start thinking like a door kicker, because once you realize that you can launch in days instead of months, then your whole strategy changes.
this is where the movement part comes in. You're not starting a business, you're joining a wave of entrepreneurs who aren't waiting for permission.
Exactly. And here's your rally cry for this week. So stop treating the starting line like a brick wall because it's not. It's tape and it's already breaking. If you remember nothing else from this episode, remember this: AI is no longer optional. It's not just about the tools, it's also about the mindset. Now, stop chasing perfection and start chasing progress. Because while your competitors still figuring out how to communicate with ChatGPT, you could be building your technology-enabled superpower. Subscribe to Small Business Big AI and get ready to dominate. All right, we've walked through the gates, and now it's time for the second pillar of this entrepreneurial revolution, and it's what I call automation of the mundane. It's not nice to have automation. It's not, would it be cool automation? I'm talking about stripping away the dead weight that's been slowing you down since day one.
And let's be honest, this is a part a lot of business owners say they want, but secretly resist.
Exactly how? Because they think that's just the job. You have to grind through it. But here's the truth: the grind is optional now. I mean, think about how much of your week disappears into tasks that have nothing to do with why you started your business. I mean, like data entry, scheduling, customer service emails, invoicing and basic marketing posts.
That's the stuff that eats your lunch and then your dinner also.
Right. And here's where AI changes the game. Those tasks that drain your time, your energy, and your focus, well, they can now be done faster, cheaper, and really, let's be honest, they can be done better by AI.
I can hear some people already saying, yeah, but I like the personal touch.
And you should keep it, where it counts. But sending a templated thanks for your payment email isn't personal. Now, updating a spreadsheet at midnight isn't personal. Those are just sandbags that you've been carrying because no one told you there was a forklift.
So you're saying drop the sandbags, grab a forklift?
Right. And here's the kicker, freeing up even one of those repetitive, low value tasks creates an energy shift. So suddenly you've got space to think, to strategize, and to create, really.
Let's put some real world urgency on this. What's the costly mistake?
Well, Hal, this is what I'm going to call mistake number two. Now, it's waiting until you're less busy to automate. As an entrepreneur, that day never comes. And the longer you wait, the more time and more money you bleed out through inefficiency.
So what's the move?
Well, is start today. You pick one high volume, low skill task like customer follow up emails or maybe even weekly social posts, appointment reminders, and then you automate them. You watch what happens within time is given back to you.
And I'll tell you what happens. You start to feel dangerous.
Yeah, dangerous, but in the best kind of way because you're not reacting to your business. Now you're steering it. And when you stack a few of these automations, you create a compounding effect that's hard for your competitors really to even catch up to you.
Which leads right to the next domino.
Exactly. And that's what I'm calling accessible expertise. So, because once you've automated the grunt work, you can finally tap into a level of insight and strategy that really used to be locked away for the big players. If you've got questions, join me over on LinkedIn or Facebook. The info is in the show notes. I'd love to hear what's on your mind. So we've blown through the gates and we've dumped the sandbags. Now we get into the part that really flips the old business world on its head. And that's what I'm called accessible expertise.
Meaning?
Meaning you, the small business owner, now have access to high level insights and strategies and, data analysis that really were once reserved for companies with $1 million consulting budgets.
You're talking about Fortune 500 level thinking without Fortune 500 level invoices.
Exactly. So in the old world, Hal, you'd have to hire a market research firm just to figure out where your customers were hanging out. Now, you'd have to pay a strategist to run predictive models for your next product launch.
And now?
Now you can pull that level of insight from AI in just minutes. You can get a full competitor analysis, identify untapped niches, test marketing angles, really all before lunch.
That's wild. Because this means the playing field isn't just level, it's starting to tilt toward the nimble.
Yes, Hal. And this is what the old guard doesn't want you to grasp. Now, for decades, expertise was a gate they controlled. And now the gate's just really wide open. And you can sprint through while they're still debating what to do about it.
But here's the pushback. I know some listeners are feeling, if AI can give me the answer, what's my role?
Well, then your role becomes even more valuable because now your job is to be the visionary, to take that data, those insights, and then decide what to do with them. So AI can hand you the blueprint, but only you know the story. Only you know the mission, the movement that you're building.
So the costly mistake here would be
Well, this is what I call mistake number three, confusing access with action. Now, just because you can get the answers doesn't mean you're automatically winning. So you've got to turn those insights into moves. And the faster you do it, the more ground you cover before your competition even gets their shoes on, Hal.
that's huge because that's where you turn on just another business into a market leader.
Exactly. And this is why we keep hammering this point. You are operating in a window of time right now where the speed of insight and the speed of execution can work together like never before.
Which brings us to the next act, right?
Yep, because once you've got access to expertise, the next question is how do you use it to scale without the headache? Now, all right, we've torn down the gates, we've dropped the dead weight, and we've armed ourselves with expertise. Now comes the question that every entrepreneur dreams about. How do I scale? And here's the good news. This is scaling without the headache.
Wait, hold on. For a lot of business owners, scaling is just code for doubling my stress level and my payroll.
Exactly. And that's because in the old world, scaling meant proportional growth. Double the clients, you needed double the staff, double the space, and double the costs.
And doubling the headaches.
Right. But now you can scale asymmetrically. How? Now, AI and automation allow you to increase output, really, and serve more customers and expand into new markets without that one-to-one increase in your overhead.
So we're talking about growth without the growing pains?
Yes, and this is where the revolution gets real. So imagine handling triple your current workload without adding a single full time hire. So imagine opening a new service line in another city without leasing a single new office.
That's huge. But let's put some real world stakes on it.
Okay, so here's the costly mistake. Mistake number four. I call it scaling with old world math. Now, if you try to grow today using the same formulas we used 5, maybe 10 years ago, then you're going to burn out. Or worse, you're going to burn cash so fast you cannot recover.
And meanwhile, someone else is using AI to scale lean, reinvest their profits, and undercut you on their price or outpace you on value.
Exactly how. And once they've built that lead, you just can't work harder to catch up. You've got to out innovate. And that's 10 times harder when you're exhausted and overextended.
And what's the smarter play?
Well, audit your growth bottlenecks right now. So look for the places where a human is doing work that AI can handle. And then, before you add staff, see if automation can absorb that extra capacity. And then that way, every new client or every new project, it's really almost pure profit.
And that's a game changer because it means you're not just growing, you're building a right sized business that can bend without breaking.
Exactly how. And once you get to that point where scaling feels lighter instead of heavier, and you stop thinking about how do I survive, and you start thinking, where do I want to dominate next?
And that's where this becomes a movement.
Yes, because if enough small business owners scale smart instead of scaling sloppy, we start shifting market power away from the giant incumbents and toward the agile innovators, and that's you. Which brings us to our closing challenge for today, and it's one that could change your business in the next 7 days. Join our growing community of small business owners who are using AI to transform their businesses. Subscribe and be part of the conversation. All right, movement makers, here's your challenge for the next 7 days. Now, I want you to pick one high volume, repetitive task in your business that is stealing your time, your energy, or your focus. Now, just one. Now, it could be scheduling, it could be client follow up emails or invoice processing, maybe even social media poster. Now, you know exactly which one it is. The one that you sigh about every time it hits your to-do list.
And if you just said, oh, I've got 3 of those, pick the one that's hurting you the most.
Exactly. Now, your mission is to find a way to automate it using AI. Not next month, not when things calm down, but this week. Because every day that you keep doing it manually, you're paying an invisible tax and lost opportunity.
And this isn't just about saving time. It's about creating capacity for the things that actually move the needle.
Yes, because when you remove that bottleneck, you're not just freeing up hours, you're stepping into your technology enabled superpower. And that's what this movement is about. Entrepreneurs who are lean, fast, and impossible to compete with because they're playing a whole different game.
The game where small, smart, and strategic beats big and bloated.
Now, that's it for today's episode of Small Business, Big AI. Thanks so much for tuning in.
The entrepreneurial revolution is here, and it's powered by AI.
Exactly. And here's what I want you to do. When you've automated that task, I want you to DM me on LinkedIn or tag me with the hashtag #SmallBusinessBigAI and tell me what you automated and what it freed you up to do instead. Because we're building a community here, and your win might just be the inspiration that gets someone else to take the leap.
And when enough people do this, the ripple effect is massive. We're not just talking about better businesses. We're talking about stronger local economies, more innovation, and entrepreneurs who actually get to enjoy running their companies.
Exactly. So this is your moment. The barriers are down, the tools are in your hands, the opportunity is here. So go claim it. Step into your technology-enabled superpower. And remember, the future of your business is bigger than you think. And the steps you take today will shape the legacy you build tomorrow. Now, I'm Kim.
And I'm Hal.
And
this has been Small Business Big AI.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you in the next episode.
That's a wrap.